Welcome, Christmas Radio. We are back with little Dave. It's a glorious Monday as fall/winter approaches us. Him and I were joking that it's like cool, but like a great temperature, to where you aren't sweating all the time, but can still wear like gas shorts, which is like perfect weather for you and I.
Yep.
I like the heat. I hate the winter, so eventually I'll move out of Virginia. Um,
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm like, shit, I live in the ski capital of the world, and it's like I don't like the snow. I wonder about that for 5 months of the year. I'm like, why is it so fucking snowy here?
you know, listen, I'm really fortunate I have a garage, so it isn't like I have to go out and get in a cold car.
Yeah.
But anytime I'm like outside doing any activity, like just simply like walking into the grocery store, I'm like, why in the world do I fucking live here? And like, I believe in my heart, like once Angela's parents and my dad pass away, like we really have no real hard reason to still be in Virginia. So, I mean, we may probably still keep this house and just get another one somewhere warm. So when it gets cold, like we'll just snowbird that shit to Florida or Texas and
Yeah.
split the times with, I guess. But that's a hopefully that's not anytime soon.
Yeah.
So, at least until like I really believe my dad's got at least 10, maybe 15 more good years. He's still mean as hell and active, so can only hope that
Yeah.
um he gets to continue a long, full life. But what I thought we would talk about today is kind of like as contest season for most people have wrapped up or coming to the very bitter end of it. It's really easy to go down this path of pointing fingers at your coach, at the judges, at your life circumstance, as opposed to like taking a step back and looking down the accountability mirror and be like, okay, these are the areas that I need to improve upon. Because listen, if you run into a freight train of a genetic freak on stage, there's nothing you could have done in that moment. But how can we build a physique that withstands all of that, right? And there's lots of easy, like what I would consider like low-hanging fruit. But what I wanted to do is really dig in, Dave, and talk about like things that a lot we see a lot of clients, a lot of competitors around us or backstage doing. And this doesn't necessarily even have to be for a contest prep, but just in terms of like achieving a very lean physique, what would you say one is like one of the number one or two things that you see that people are screwing up?
The biggest one when it comes, especially in the off season, is gonna be your base diet.
Correct.
Following a macro plan
Yeah.
and free balling that shit is the
Yep.
reason why so many people don't make progress in the off season
Mhm.
and or they get too fat too quick,
Correct. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Is I mean, United States, if you buy anything with a label, there's a 20% variance what's totally okay. So, you know, throw 100 grams of rice on the scale, and that means that label can say it's 100 grams of rice, or it's 80, or it's 120.
Yep.
That is totally fine.
Yep.
And that adds up really fast over time.
Yes, it does. Yep.
Like if you're trying to be accurate and you're 20% off all the time, like you're not being accurate.
No, no, no. You know, yours is very similar to what mine was because you kind of touched on it. The rebound for me in the past, I feel like I've been too aggressive either with clean food or not tracking my off-plan meals at all. Meaning I never looked at what the true calories are of like what I would consider a normal meal for me to be at like Five Guys, Chick-fil-A, or a steakhouse. Like I never even considered it. And it's one of those things that I've started to dig my heels in with personally because I've had so few free meals off. Like I think that's what you and I were talking about before. And I've eaten out three times in probably 20 weeks. And each time I looked up exactly what the macronutrients were for the meal that I ordered, and I knew what it was going in. And then my day got recalculated based upon those numbers. In the past, I would have eaten all of my normal food plus that meal and not even given two rats ass what it was. Like, and a lot of times, like, and I'll just speak really open and honestly about it. Like, let's say that Angela and I went to like a nice steakhouse. I would have had a salad with ranch dressing on it. I would have eaten bread or whatever came with it, like as a free appetizer. We would have probably ordered an appetizer, maybe chicken quesadillas. I would eat a giant ass steak, 1 to 2 plain baked potatoes. I don't like butter on a potato anyway, so I'm not going to put a bunch of shit on it. And then I would have probably, we'd split a dessert at the restaurant. And then on the way home, I would probably find some other kind of sweet treat to eat, either at Sheetz, stop and get ice cream or something and call it a night. And like with no regard to that was probably 2,500 calories. And then I'd wonder, like, man, my glutes and low back got awful soft really quick. I wonder why that was. I'm eating all my meals, I'm training my face off, I'm still doing cardio, and it's like, bro, you just ate off plan way too aggressively. And I always thought like that was bodybuilding is what I envisioned, because that's what I thought you were supposed to do. Have a meal
Yeah,
off with your wife. No, Chris, it doesn't mean you go eat your until you can't fucking see straight. Like,
yeah,
and this time around, I've been so much more diligent. Now, again, I'm not saying that everyone needs to do this approach that I'm doing now, but it's working really well for me. And to almost be 250 at 33 days post show with the level of leanness I'm still have, I'm fucking thrilled with. Like, I've had zero digestive issues, zero heartburn, no sleep apnea. All wins. And
yeah.
I've gotten to 250, 260 a lot faster than I've done now, but this feels way more sustainable. And what I think I'm the most excited about is like the only supplements I'm on right now are GH and insulin. That's it. Well, then TRT test. And in 4 weeks, I'll add supplements back in. And if I had to guess, like that'll get me to 265 pretty fucking quick.
Mhm.
And my food's like most would consider it high. You and I would consider it moderate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just the truth. And I mean, I think for guys like you and I, like we've been able to build an appetite to where if we went out and had a free meal, time would just get in our way as opposed to us feeling full. Do you
Yeah.
feel that way? Like, you know what I mean? Like you just had to like, okay, that meal is over, it's done, walk away. Where if you and I sit down and said, let's have a meal until we're full, that's a recipe for disaster.
Oh yeah, that would yeah easily would put down a lot more food.
Right. And especially
And
if it's on a training day.
yeah, oh yeah, if it's post post workout like shit.
Right, right, right. So I mean, again, that's a big lesson that I've learned from this past contest season is just being diligent and mindful about your rebound period. And I would say like most people are like, oh Chris, you went pretty slow. I'm like, fuck. I weighed in at 224. I'm almost 250. Like that's not slow.
Yeah. It's funny. I have a client who's in this rebound. Well, he's just getting done with his rebound in all reality, but he was 182 on stage, and he's almost 230 right now,
Fuck, that's great. Yeah,
and conditions stayed really well because we did take it slow.
right. Yeah.
Like I kid you not, we didn't have like we were pretty tight. Like I let him have a free meal after the show, but
Mhm.
then it was reined in pretty hard from that. Like it wasn't free for all free meals at all,
Right. Yep.
and he is grateful we did it that way because, well, fuck, he's almost 50 pounds heavy over stage weight. Still has, his lower back isn't falling off him.
Right.
His abs are still in.
Right. Yep.
Most people who are 50 pounds over their stage weight, 4 weeks after the show because they push really hard,
Right. Yep.
are now contemplating going into a diet.
Oh yeah. Yep. Breathing heavy, ankles are swollen. Your belt goes from like you're at hole 2 to you're at hole 6. Like, and you feel like shit. You don't want to tie your shoes. You go get the mail and you're fucking out of breath. Like, listen, I say all that with confidence because I've been there. Like,
Yeah.
it's not fun. Like, and I think social media has definitely glamorized eating bullshit at mass quantities, especially post show. And I'm not saying I'm going to be the sole person to push back on that shit, but I can tell you I've been fortunate enough to be around a handful of really good pros. And one of the things I learned from them is being responsible post-show eating. And I never paid that close of critical attention. And I'd actually give them some shit about it and be like, that's your after show meal? And they're like, yeah, that's all I needed. And I was like, man, you should be really enjoying like a full blown, like get all that shit out of your system. And now I'm like, I'm rethinking that thought process a little bit. Not for everyone, but for
Yeah,
some.
that's true.
You know,
Yeah. Well,
there's something
I've yet to meet a good pro who's food focused.
correct. Yes. Yep.
I
Agreed.
have not met one.
Mhm.
I've definitely met pros who like food, but they're not super food focused.
Right.
When
Yes.
they're doing something, they're not posting cheesecake on their feed. They're not throwing up. They're not watching food videos. They're too focused on being a fucking bodybuilder.
Correct. Yep. Yep. You know, I really that's what thing I really enjoyed about sharing you and Chris's post show was that you both had a free meal after, but then wake up the next day and we're right back to work.
Hmm. Well, you
And
didn't
I
even have
think,
to ask us. It was, I think I asked you. I was like, "You want to come with me to cardio?" It was like 4 in the fucking morning.
yep,
We're going to EOS. If you want to come, I'm going to EOS right now. I'm going to go at a Stairmaster.
yep, yep, yep. And listen, you know, I'm not going to turn that down. I'm like, hell yeah, get it in.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Like, and I think that's really interesting because the amount of people who reached out, like, I cannot believe you already have them back on plan. I'm like, that's the difference. And you said it. I didn't have you back on plan. You wanted to be on there. You wanted a game plan, and it was my job to. When I woke up that morning, I looked over everything. We talked about things. I formulated a plan. When we got back from cardio, you knew exactly what we were doing that day, and the next day, and the next day, and that's definitely I would consider mental maturity as a competitor. And I'm going to go back to this. I'll say it again. Like, I know that not everyone may be in the headspace to do that at this current point of their bodybuilding or competing or just fat loss phase. But I'm telling you, if you once you embrace that, man, it makes things. It's a cheat code. It really is because you didn't wake up the next morning thinking how many pancakes you could eat. It was okay. Here's why I placed fourth at USA's. Here's what we're going to do to get better, and here's how we're going to make it to where I will eventually be the last man standing at a national level show. And then it's like, okay, cool, man. The path is clear.
Oh,
Uh, it's just clear. And I think that a lot of times people lose sight of that because they're like, oh, I can ease off the gas pedal. Well, you can, but how long is it going to take you to get back to where you're flooring that bitch?
yeah.
And most people, it takes too long, and they realize they wake up and they're fat, and they're like, "Oh my God, how did we get here this fast?" And it's like, well, you weren't diligent about what went into your mouth,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah, well, it's
frustrating.
the same concept in the opposite for their off season. Like every meal you decide to skip is one meal you didn't eat.
Yes.
And 5 years is going to happen either way. And if you're missing, two out of every 2 meals a week, for 3 years, I mean, like that's a lot of missed meals,
Right.
and your physique's going to reflect that.
Agreed.
That wasn't your genetics there.
No.
That
But
was just lack of the work needed for your goal, and that's not, it's totally fine. That was your choice.
right.
But like complaining after the fact of like, that's gotta suck, knowing you could have done more.
Yeah. You know, that visual representation, I think people miss. And the first place I ever saw that was when they took like little sugar cubes and they put like, here's a 2 liter of Coke, and here's how much sugar is in that. And people are
Yeah.
like, oh my God, that's incredible. That's crazy. So you take that scenario that you just said, and let's say every week you miss 2 meals of 8 ounces of chicken, so a pound of chicken, and say 500 grams of rice. If you put every one of those on the table for 1 year, it would blow people's face off. And they'd be like, what? I'm like, that's how much growth you're leaving on the literal table.
Yeah.
And you wonder why you're still a middleweight a decade into your competing.
Hmm.
It it isn't your genetics. It isn't because you have shitty drugs or don't take enough drugs or you don't train hard enough. The answer is you're missing that food. And I've always thought, like, I've said this to countless people, I don't think it clicks. You have to eat muscle to gain muscle, which means chicken, turkey, steak, fish, eggs, whey. If you miss that shit, you will not gain muscle. It's not the carbohydrates. Carbohydrates shuttle the protein to the muscle to build it. And I live and die on that hill. Like, You and I both eat a lot of carbohydrates, but we don't eat carbohydrate only meals for a reason.
Yeah.
We have protein only meals at a portion of the year. Why? To maintain muscle tissue. To me, it just logically makes sense. And I don't care how much fucking stupid ass dairy and yogurt you eat. It's not a chicken breast. It's not a steak. It's not ground beef. And I always go back to this. You want to talk about the 90s and early 2000s being the best bodybuilding ever. How many fucking Greek yogurt meals did you see Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman eat? I saw zero and I watched those motherfuckers eat on DVD over and over and over again. They had whey, they had eggs, they had chicken, they had steak, they had turkey, they had fish. And it was on a repeat every 2 hours.
Yeah.
How do we not know this? I don't understand. This isn't new. Everyone who is soft, small, and fat tells you to eat Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. Hey, you can have a protein shake. There's a reason they don't look like a freak. And I know that I'm getting like on a soapbox tangent here, but I'm like, please God, look at who tells you this. Like, I know those recipes look cool on how to like make a cake or cupcakes or muffins, but when you and I make waffles or pancakes, it's out of fucking egg whites and cream of rice. It isn't out of dairy. And I need people to understand that. So that's my point number two. You're not seeing the progress you need because you're eating way too much dairy. And I just kind of built that in there backwards, but that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah. That is super fair.
Yeah.
The I mean, when it comes down to that progress too, I mean, like there's the simple things of like I just posted on my story today, like taking the time of trimming my chicken I bought from the store.
Oh, that was a great example. Yes.
You
Yes.
know, if you did the same, I thought that when you said put it all on the table for the year, like I want people to realize that photo I took was 2 packages of chicken. That's gonna put me through Wednesday.
Right. Yep.
And if I didn't trim that, there was a good 2.5 breasts worth of fat and some meat. Obviously, I was pretty heavy handed with that, but like
I'm the same way.
that, I always am. But the
Yes.
thing is, like, if I didn't trim it, that means I'm eating that and I'm still going to finish it on Wednesday.
Right. Yep.
You know, at the end of the year, how many pounds of actual chicken fat did I choose to eat from not choosing to, trim my chicken? And that's what I meant. When it takes me 2 minutes to do this, it saves me a lot of fucking time in contest prep
Yep.
because I don't have to. I'm probably saving 2 weeks of fucking dieting.
Or cardio.
Yeah. There's a reason why I don't need to do 2 hours of cardio every time I diet,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that time is gonna be, you either pay now or you pay later. That's like one thing with bodybuilding was that most people don't want to accept that, you know, like you can definitely have those free meals,
Yeah.
but then when you go get ready for a show, they're not happening.
No.
You know, if you want to eat off plan, you're probably not going to hit your goals.
Right.
It's that's the pay now, pay now or pay later concept,
Mhm.
you know, and there's so many little things like that, like the day where you're like, oh man, I don't want to prep chicken, so I'm going to go eat Chipotle.
Yep.
That was at least the right direction of your goal. But I can promise you the dude winning your bodybuilding class didn't do that.
Yes.
And if he did, like, cool, he still, that's probably a different story of what actually happened.
Right.
And it's the not so fun things what are progressible in bodybuilding.
Yes.
Like the fun things aren't really progressible. Like, cool, if you have good genetics, like what happens if you don't have good genetics? Are you gonna complain about it the whole fucking time, or are you just gonna be a bodybuilder or not?
Right. Yes.
Right? Like if you don't want to do this, like don't make it a fucking excuse. Just don't do it.
I'll give you a perfect example of that. And I know no one outside of you and Chris have done this because no one has sampled this portion yet. But on back days where I have you do those like Kuba crossbody pull downs and the planks to start back day, you know how easy it would be to skip that and be like, I'm just gonna get into pull downs. I'm just gonna get into rows. Like that's stupid, fluffy shit, right? In the grand scheme of life, it takes 3.5 to 4 minutes, but it sets you up to have an exceptional back day. And it's so easy. It's such low hanging fruit. But people just disregard it. And I can speak from experience there. The amount of years I just fucking didn't do abs because I didn't think I needed it. And I thought, oh, Chris, just get all the fat off. You've always had abs your whole life. They're gonna still be there. And then eventually I stopped being small and realized that I lost all abdominal control and I had a turtle shell as a belly. Guess what I had to do? I had to go right back to ab training. Where guess what? If I'd have done abs for 6 to 7 minutes post or pre-lift for 2 years, I would never have had that issue. I don't also know that that's not a reason why I fucking tore my erector at 24. Because, oh, I thought I watched a stupid ass Dexter Jackson video and thought I don't ever have to do abs. Dexter said I didn't have to. Hey, guess what, Chris? You aren't the same as Dexter Jackson. I was too young and naive to realize that. But I was like, well, my abs look like his. Fuck it. I'm not going to do abs either. Great. And the next thing you know, I have a back injury, and it's like, oh, abs are really important for spinal health. Well, he didn't tell me that.
Yeah,
So it's like
exactly.
it's like as you said, the little things of like trimming chicken or driving a little bit further to get wild caught fish as opposed to farm raised. Like, will that technically add up over time? Yes. Will you see it in the minute you do that activity? Absolutely not. And that to me is what the beauty of bodybuilding is. Like the curls we do today don't actually grow our arms. It sets up a foundation for arm growth, and then we just have to repeat that process. So yeah, what you just nailed there is such a foundational point. And if you haven't seen that story, like you need to go read it because I think you had a lot of other good points within that of like just being diligent and mindful about sending check-ins properly.
Yeah, it goes a long way, just like I can't believe how some people, like I've coached people who are CEOs of companies, and it's like I can guarantee their employees are not sending them emails as shitty as the one you sent me.
Correct.
Like you would fire them.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I've literally said that to clients. I know I've shared this in a little podcast or at least another podcast that I've been on, but like I've said to really intelligent, smart, successful people, there's no way you can manage a multi-million or billion-dollar company and not manage what goes into your mouth. It's physically impossible. It's a matter of desire and want to.
Yeah.
Like you have spent decades of your life perfecting your business craft, and you aren't intelligent enough to know that, like, hey, eggs and fruit for breakfast are a way better option than 6 donuts. I don't believe you're that dumb. You know better. Stop eating like a child and let's be an adult, a responsible adult who it's so easy for us to sit back here and say, you know what, Dave, I really want abs this year, than to actually achieve them. Like, I think I saw a thing once where it's like less than like, I think 15% of the US population has abs, like visible abs. And I'm thinking to myself, that should be so easy to acquire. Like, I don't understand. But what's not easy is minding what goes into your mouth 24 hours a day because it's fucking relentless. And what do most people do when they get stress or anxiety? They either don't eat or they overeat. Both work against that goal. So it's like it comes down to what's easy and convenient versus what is required to achieve the look that you want. And I mean, I think that's what makes you and I so successful at bodybuilding. We just, when prep starts, we decide, okay, cool. From this point forward, we're having no cheat meals until someone says so. Okay, got it. Done. It's over. We make that decision on January 31st, for example, and then there's no looking back. There isn't like, oh, one Oreo is not going to matter here, or one meal out isn't going to matter. It's okay, cool. Like that gets shut down until it's time to have one, and you just decide. It's no different than I've said this before. It's no different than when I wake up every morning and I decide not to cheat on my wife. It's as simple as fucking that. I just decided when I asked her to marry me, or when I asked her to start dating me, I decided from that point forward I'm not gonna do that behavior. Simple as that. I know the trash has to get taken out every Tuesday. Whose responsibility is it? Mine. If it doesn't get taken out, whose responsibility does that fall on to go to the dump with all of our trash? Me. All right, awesome. It's no different.
Exactly. That's a very good point right there.
Mm.
The combination of the thing. I mean, that's like the fun part about bodybuilding is you're not showing off what you did in an 8 week, 12-week period, you're showing off what your body's done for its entire life.
Yes. Yep.
Like the actions I did as a 18-year-old still are kind of present in my physique.
Yep.
That's the cool part about bodybuilding. And you can work through a lot of fucking things, but that's the bodybuilding isn't just like, oh, it's an 8 week period or a 12-week period of fat loss.
Right.
It's much more than that.
Yes. Yep. You posted that photo, I think, from 2017, like it was a back shot, and someone was like, "There's what was it? You were 148, I want to say."
Yeah.
Fuck, 148, not 248, 148. So just let that settle in for all the listeners out there. That was 2017. It wasn't like he was in high school. So
Yeah. That was very much out of high school.
right, right. Because people are like, "Oh, Throwback Thursday." It's like, here's a picture when I was 12. Go fuck off.
Yeah.
You haven't even hit puberty yet. But yeah, yeah, it's that's what's wild when you look and break down someone's, I'm gonna call it problem, right? Or puzzle is probably a better way to put that. They come to you with these many issues. You have to solve those issues and then build in a training and nutrition plan that fits their life. At some point, it's going to become cumbersome, and you have to find out what's more important: life, stress, anxiety, panic, or the plan.
Yeah.
And there will be a period of time where you're having to learn how to do this because you and I's lives aren't perfect, despite what people may see or perceive on the internet. We run into roadblocks, we run into times where things aren't ideal. Like, I didn't want to train on Saturday night at 6:30 p.m., but if I wanted to be a good dad and go watch Daxton, well, I had to coach his football game in the morning, go to my nephew's game and support my brother in the middle of the day, go to his soccer game in the late afternoon. Like, there was no time to train in the middle of that. I'd have been rushing my workout. I'm not going to do it. So what do? I train at 6:30 p.m. I come home, have my post-lift meal at 8, have my final meal at 10:30. Is that how I normally do my day? No. But that's what I needed to do to accomplish all the tasks in the window of time that I needed to get done.
Yep.
And I know people are like, oh, well, that's an easy problem to have. For me, that creates anxiety if I wouldn't have mapped that out the day before.
Yep.
It's all in my notebook, and I knew exactly when every meal came, what I need to take to each event, when we're going to have time to come home and me to get meals out of the fridge or make another one, and then when I was going to go train, and then when I was going to be done with training, what our plan was afterwards. Like, and so many people don't want to do that. But if you, they'll plan like a Vegas like a honeymoon or vacation to the second. But the moment I say, "Hey, what's your meal schedule for tomorrow?" Because your day's not normal, right? No, it's not. I don't know. Someone will eat when I eat. How many meals you taking with you? I don't know. How do you not know this?
Yep.
When you and I were at Swiss, we knew when we were going to get there, when we were going to train, and how many meals we need to have before training. It means how many meals we had to have packed in our cooler before we went. We were going to come back. We were going to eat pre-lift meal, go train at this time, eat our post-lift meal, go to sleep. We had it fully mapped out. Why? Because you and I both cared about what went into our fucking mouth. Um, and we were both at different times. You were in a rebound, and I was in a pre-contest. Like two separate, complete separate, I'll call it adventures, so to speak, of the year. Um, and what I would consider an extreme, right? Because like if we're in the dead of all season, we might have maybe a little bit more flexibility.
Yep.
But both you and I in those periods, you and the rebound, me in pre-contest, there was no flexibility. There was no wiggle room. It was, right, this is what we're gonna eat. Here's where we're gonna eat it. Here's where we're gonna train. Here's where we're gonna do cardio. And like again, that just comes down to me. It always goes back to if you know your why, the actions become easy. You
Yeah.
just have to build it into your life. And I think that's one of my probably points is like you just don't think about how bodybuilding can work with your life. It doesn't have to compete with it. It just has to be enmeshed and ingrained into it. And if you have the right people around you, they'll help support you in that. I mean, I know both your girlfriend and my wife like are beyond understanding with what we do, and they know how important it is to us. And it'd be so easy, I'm sure, for them some days to be like, "Oh my God, David, do you have to bring a fucking meal with you?" as opposed to, hey, we might be out a little longer. You should probably bring an extra meal with you. Yeah, it's a great idea. Thanks. I already thought about that, but fuck yeah, thank you. Like two different scenarios. One causes me stress and anxiety and makes me want to punch the hole in the wall, and the other one is like, oh, I just want to go give you the fucking world.
Yeah, super true.
And then, listen, that's probably another point that we could probably build in here that I didn't even think about is like, if your family, friends, and spouse don't support you through this, good luck.
Yeah,
Good fucking luck. I've seen it countless times of girlfriends, wives, family members just ruining the experience of show day, prep, off season, because it's always like, oh, you have to do this. Well, no, I don't have to fucking do anything, but it's what I believe in and I want to do. And you don't support me. But the moment you push back on them a little bit, they fucking crumble. And it's like, oh, well, I want him to be supportive for me, but I don't want to support this. Well, then you suck as a human. And
yeah,
good luck. Like, this will never work out. He's either gonna have to quit bodybuilding or you're gonna have to get traded out, homie. Like, and listen, I hate having those conversations with people because I don't like telling them what to do with their relationship. So I'm always like, I can tell you this, I wouldn't tolerate that bullshit. Life is too short and there are too many women out there.
yeah,
Sorry, I don't care. Like,
super true. Yeah, your environment matters so much. I mean, like the amount of people I see just leveling up from leaving a corporate gym and
yes,
going to a better facility. Like a lot of the times progress goes up higher just because they're around people who also care about making progress.
right. Yep,
Like you don't even know who they are. You're just around people who are actually working harder,
yep,
that makes you work harder. And then boom, you make more progress.
right,
It's the simplest life hack you can make as a bodybuilder
yep,
is if
yep,
you go to a corporate gym, find what you have in the area
yep,
and find a gym what, allows hard training and find a way to go there. I bet you make better gains than you have before.
yes, agreed. I believe in my heart, right? Like, let's say you and I didn't know each other, and let's say my job takes me to Utah, and I'm in the gym and I'm training alongside you and Zach. I don't believe for 1 minute I don't feed off of y'all's energy. And I'm like, fuck, they just took that set of leg press at the end. Oh yeah? Watch this. I'm gonna go so deep on this hack squat that it's gonna fucking cripple me. And eventually we'd share a head nod and you'd like one of us would be like, hey, you should join us one day. Fuck yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. And then next thing you know, just fucking kamikaze shit happens. Because hard work recognizes hard work. And it's like you said, an environment that breeds just straight what most people consider insanity, but I view as intensity in how you should train is so contagious.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
because you either look at that and think, man, there's no fucking way I can get there. Or you think, man, I thought I was training hard. I need to level up. Okay, cool. Like, what are the things that I'm watching them do? All right, they're going until their arms shake and they need two assisted reps. And then it looked like they were going to quit at 5 reps, but they did 6 and 7 and now 8. Okay, got it. I just need to lock in for longer. Okay, how close can I get to that on a safe exercise, like a machine chest press, and start to learn and acquire that skill? Now I take that to the hack squat. Now I take it to the leg press. Now I take it to deadlifts. And it's like, man, as I'm doing this, I'm watching my strength go up, my appetite's increasing, and oh, I'm watching myself literally grow. And everyone's like, Chris, what are you doing? I just found out ways to train harder. Oh, you didn't up your fucking test by 500 mgs? No, I'm on a health phase. Well, that doesn't make sense. Nope.
Are you tell me you can make progress in a health phase?
No, you're supposed to be soft, fat, and small, right? Because that's what happens. Like, and I know that most people don't understand this, but like the psychology of so many people when they come off or back down the TRT is they just like throw their hands up, like, oh, I can't progress. Fuck it. I'm gonna eat garbage. I'm not gonna train hard. And I'm not gonna do my cardio. Okay. You just lost 3 months or 6 weeks or 8 weeks or however long you take for a health phase. And you tell me that you spend the first half of that cycle getting back to where you were. So you're just losing ground. So you wasted, in my mind, you wasted half of a cycle getting to back where you were to now gain new ground. And you wonder why you only gained 2 pounds of stage weight versus 8 or 12 or 6. Yeah, that sucks. You are literally dividing your progress by a third, maybe more, if you take that philosophy. Um, will you look a little softer? Yes. Will you be a little less full? Yes. Will you be a little less strong or explosive? Maybe. As opposed to viewing it as a challenge, like go fuck yourself, health face. I'm gonna show you who
Yeah,
the boss is. It always reminds me that you remember those old CT Fletcher videos where he's like, I don't know how much weight it is. Fuck it, I'm gonna lift it. Because I lift
yeah.
weights, motherfucker. And it's like, God, like so many people could learn from that. Like, oh, like it really makes me like kind of get fired up because like this is what stands in the way of so many people but to become great. And they don't realize that they have a governor on themselves.
Hmm.
How can I show you to remove that? And for some, it's going to take listening or watching us. Others, it would take you seeing it in person. I just had a guy who reached out to me. I meant to send you this message. Like, he was like, "Hey, I saw you and Dave training the Dragon's Lair, and I like it really made me realize I need to increase the intensity of my training because I thought I was training hard." And I said, "Yeah, man." I said, "I also need you to realize that that was him inside of a week out." I said, "So envision that full off season for both of us because that's where he was. He was in the off season." I was like, "Fully loaded with food. Envision what that would look like even more." And he's like, "Fuck." I'm like, "Yeah, man." Like, there are levels to this, and so many don't realize it because just in that facility alone, there were a lot of people that had great physiques. I didn't see one person, and I'm not saying there wasn't, but I didn't see one person in there that I was like, that fired me up to mirror their efforts. And maybe that's arrogant or cocky of me, but or that I was so locked into what you and I were doing that I didn't notice it. But I don't know. Something to consider for everyone out there. Like, and I don't think you and I definitely aren't the best bodybuilders on the planet.
No, that's fair.
No, no. But I will say this, you and I execute bodybuilding actions as good as anyone. And I'll go to my grave standing on that. Like eating meals, being on a schedule, taking our supplements, and then doing everything we can physically in the gym to be our best. And then understanding that we have not mastered anything.
Yep,
And that final piece may be where we need to leave it is like you and I both have a full understanding that we haven't found the end yet.
yep.
And I think that might be
We're not
over.
Paul. We're not Paul Carter, who has figured out all the secrets to bodybuilding. It knows everything you know about bodybuilding, but can't replicate it on a single human.
Or himself. He always throws so much shade. And like he posted this like fucking delt rant. And I'm like, this is the picture you're gonna say is like a flex on how big your shoulders are? Come on, bro.
Yeah,
I have multiple natural figure fitness physique girls that have better cap delts than that. And they're on the internet flexing it. Like I know everything. Like, fuck, man. Like, show some fucking humility for Christ's sake. Like, it's so frustrating for me. Like, I realize that my delts, in terms of my physique, are very good. I would never walk into a room and be like, I know everything on adult training. I can learn nothing. I'm right. You're wrong. Shut the fuck up. Because I realize that just because I don't need shoulder pressing doesn't mean you may not.
exactly.
My shoulder growth didn't come from shoulder pressing, but you may need that in your plan. I didn't grow off of lower reps below 8, but 5 to 8 may work exceptionally well for you. I prefer dumbbell side laterals. You may hate them and fill them all in traps. And that's only because I've worked with so many fucking people. I realize like there is no one size fits all for anything in bodybuilding. Just because chicken, rice, and olive oil work great for me, it may not work great for you. You may do way better with potatoes and beef. You may do better with whey and cream of rice for fuck's sake. Like there's so many ways to acquire what I would consider a respectable amount of muscle. And to think that there is one size fits all, I am right, you are wrong, you're an idiot, bow down to my ways, or I'm going to make fun of you on the internet, is not something I'm going to stand on.
100%. The
Oh,
amount of times I've seen things work what shouldn't, people get in places where you don't think would logically make sense. You're like, oh, that's fucking cool. Write that down. Probably won't ever replicate that, but it did. They got there, you know. Versus trying to justify hand positioning based off a study done on elderly people.
yes.
You know,
Right, right. Yes. The amount of 3 hour leg days that I've done in my life are a lot. And you know how many of those super smart people that will tell me that was dumb as shit. Okay, cool. Pull your shorts up and let's see what your legs look like compared to mine when I used to do this regularly. And I would blow you out of the fucking water. Explain that. And it isn't because I have great genetics. My parents were under 150 pounds. Both of them. My mom was under 100 for fuck's sake. I'm supposed to be small. There, I'm not saying 3 hour leg days are the way to go, but I'm telling you it worked.
yeah,
It
you,
definitely
you
made them bigger.
figured a way to make it happen.
Right. It- and I have zero science to know why. I just know that I paired effort, and each week I tried to get better and do crazier shit. And the next thing I know, my legs were so far ahead of my upper body that it took John saying, "We have to throttle that way back, bro. You don't need 3 hour leg days." Ah, you're right. Okay, let's do two. And then now it's like an hour, hour and 10, hour and 20 minutes. So yeah, it's like you can't sit there and say like high volume for legs and intensity don't work because literally I'm a walking example of it. And that's where the base of my foundation of leg growth happened. I've definitely gotten my legs better by doing less and being able to train them more efficiently. But you can't look at me and say that all the chain squats and back squats and triple drop sets and lunging until like my training partner was head deep in a fucking dumpster didn't work for me because it did. And if to me, if I'm out there with shitty legs, what do I have to lose for trying that? If I'm doing the optimal progressive overload, 4 to 5 work sets to failure, and I still have horrible legs, in my mind, I'm thinking, what's the other side of the coin? Is it worth trying? Because what I'm doing isn't. Or am I not training the target muscle with the right exercises? Or am I not targeting the muscle properly? Like, am I all lifting for ego? Like, I'm going to exhaust all three of those before I just throw my hands up in the air and say, my legs are just shit. So
Super true.
until next time, Chris and Dave, I hope you guys learned something from this like
Nice
monster,
monster rant today.
just anger at the world. If you want to know what it's like to hang out with us in person, maybe this is a snippet. And the best part is neither you or I are on trend. So maybe if we both were, it's like our cycles align. Then you might get some like really serious off the cuff like rants. But until next time, Chris and Dave, you guys have a beautiful Monday.